Hi, and welcome to an overview of in-text citations using APA Conestoga. Let's begin by making sure that we understand what an in-text citation is. In-text citations occur in the body of our writing. What this means is that anytime I include words or ideas from an outside source in my essay, I must include an in-text citation in order to signal to my reader that I got information from somewhere else. In other words, I'm giving credit to the original author. In-text citations, which we've highlighted in yellow on your screen, contain a few key pieces of information which allow our reader to go out and locate specifically where we got our research from. In-text citations also signal to our reader that we've done research, and so, in essence, they're adding credibility to our writing. Every in-text citation has a matching reference on the reference page, which is typically the last page of our paper. If you want more information on referencing, you can click the next video in this series. For now, let's focus on making sure that we understand exactly when we need an in-text citation. As discussed, in-text citations occur when we borrow words or ideas from a different source. When we borrow words from a different source, we signal this to our readers using quotation marks, and it's called quoting. When we use ideas or information from a different source, but we put it in our own words and in our own sentence structure, we call this paraphrasing. Whether we choose to put research into our paper using quotations or paraphrasing, we must create an in-text citation. Regardless of whether or not we're using our own words, we're still borrowing an idea from a different source, and we need to give that source credit. Now that we understand the importance of in-text citations, as well as when we should use them, let's explore what information we need to include in them. In-text citations contain three main components. These are the author, the year of publication, and typically the page number. If we don't have a page number available to us, say for instance we're using an online resource, we can instead use the paragraph number, and we signal this with the short form PARA. In some cases, we have neither page numbers nor paragraph numbers available to us. In that instance, it's completely appropriate to use a different indicator. For example, slide 11. These three pieces of information, author, year, and page number, make up the bulk of our in-text citations. Individual authors are referred to by their last name, also known as their surname or their family name. So for example, if I'm borrowing information from a book by Mary Poovey, I'm going to include Poovey in my in-text citation. Often, a source has more than one author. If my source has two authors, I include both of their surnames in my in-text citation. So if I'm reading a book by Isabel Armstrong and Virginia Blaine, I would include Armstrong and Blaine. Finally, if a source has three or more authors, I'm going to use just the surname of the first author. So for instance, if I'm borrowing information from a book by Hilary Fraser, Stephanie Green, and Judith Johnston, I'm going to use only the surname Fraser in my in-text citation, as well as the Latin abbreviation et al. This means that the source has additional authors, and they'll all be listed on the reference entry on my reference page. Some sources have no individual authors and are instead created by a group or an organization. In this case, we'd simply include the full name of the group. So for instance, the World Health Organization. In some instances, our source may not have a year. In this case, we can use the abbreviation N.D., which stands for no date. Now that we understand the different components of an in-text citation, let's explore how we can use them in our writing. There are two different ways we can use in-text citations in our papers. The first, a standard citation, occurs at the end of the sentence but before the period, and encloses all three pieces of information in brackets. The second citation type, called a narrative citation, occurs when we want to articulate the argument of a specific author. We would start the sentence off with the author's name, like the Registered Nurses Association of Ontario, and we would follow that name with the year of publication enclosed in brackets. We would then go on to explain what it is that the Registered Nurses Association of Ontario is arguing. And when we finish that sentence, capturing our research, we would include the page number or the paragraph number in brackets before the period. No matter how you choose to use in-text citations, it's important to remember that whenever you borrow information from another source, you must create one. If you're still struggling with in-text citations, read all about them on our new APA Conestoga website.